Oh, hi, my name is Elizabeth, the Entrepreneurship and Engagement Coordinator here at Seed, and we're joined here today by Navdeep Parmanand. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, I'm Navdeep Parmanand. I am the founder and chief curves officer for Celebrate Your Curves Fashion.
Great, so let's jump right into the questions. To start, why don't you tell us a bit about your business venture? Like, what's the idea behind Celebrate Your Curves?
Absolutely. So, my business is called Celebrate Your Curves. We create clothing for all shapes, sizes, and abilities, including people with disabilities. We are a size inclusive fashion brand. I started because I couldn't find clothing that made me feel powerful in my body, and I had a lot of lived experience with my brother who had muscular dystrophy. So he was a wheelchair user. So seeing him challenge a lot of struggles with clothing, that's the motivation behind Celebrate Your Curves. As a woman of color and immigrant and someone navigating hidden disabilities as well, and so the traditional beauty standards failed to provide clothing for people like mine. And I realized that it wasn't just about clothing, it was also about representation.
Yeah, I agree. And you've talked about it a bit there, but what's the story that led you to want to start your own business, that this was actually something you wanted to start?
Sure. So to start a clothing brand or start a business where I was inclusive of all shapes, sizes, and a lot of that experience was with my brother, as I mentioned, and seeing him challenges with clothing, the clothing that never fit him, and a lot of shame and loss of dignity as well. I've seen him, and then also India is a little bit of a different culture when I grew up. So, I being a plus size woman wasn't always fit in. So I wanted to create something of my own where we celebrate ourselves and celebrate our bodies, because at the end of the day, if you look at, you're more than your size, you're more than your skin color, you're more than, like, you have so much more going on, and it's not fair that people just look at you through a different lens. So that's kind of the story. And our clothing is made by my aunties back home in India. They practically raised me, my neighbors. So it's a way of giving back to them, for me, and I feel privileged to have an exposure to a culture in Canada. And I moved here about 10 years ago when I was 19. So I always wanted to have that connection back home as well. And that's what makes us social enterprise. And that's kind of what the story is, that more about impact. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Clothing is supposed to be about expression and comfort, and it's hard to do that when you're not being fairly represented.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about how you first heard of Seed. Where were you in your journey, and when did you take your first steps to join the Seed program?
Absolutely. So I think I came across one of the in-person networking sessions at Seed, and it was my first time attending it. And at that time, I Celebrate Your Curves wasn't even a business yet; it was just an idea. And I was just brave enough to say it out loud that it is an idea. But after that, I enrolled in Leveling It Up program, and that's where things really shifted. Um, and that's where I actually learned also that it's not really an idea, it's an ideation stage, which makes you a first step towards your business. Because when you think it that way, it's like you're already a step ahead. So Seed gave me more tools and a lot of validation, and it helped me move on to, like, I have a small idea to I can actually build a real business, or I am building a real business. So gave me a lot of structure and the tools to navigate how to get on to the right path. So, and also the community and the people that believed in me.
Yeah, it's great having a community to be able to like turn your idea into a real life like
Yeah.
business. It's pretty cool. So I also wanted to congratulate you on winning New Business of the Year at the Halifax Business Awards. That's a very big accomplishment. Walk me through a bit how you were feeling when you found out you were nominated and then when you won.
Thank you so much for the warm wishes. When I was nominated for the New Year Business of the Awards for Halifax Business Awards, I was honestly shocked. As entrepreneurs, especially women of color, we often work quietly and wonder if any of this matters, if anyone actually even sees the work or the effort behind the scenes. But when I won, it felt surreal. I still replay the announcement video and get all excited all over again. Whenever I have hard days or I have self doubt, and all of us, we do have those days, right? Some days are just hard. We are not just fighting outside demons, but also our own demons as well. And self doubt and is my biggest one of them as well. So whenever I feel that before going to bed, I actually watch my the announcement video all again, and then it gets me in the zone. Okay, it matters because sometimes you just need those reminders. But more than anything, it felt like a validation, not just for me, for every woman who believed, or every person who ever felt unseen, especially in retail spaces and in fashion spaces. It just meant that, okay, you belong in this room, and that moment is going to stay with me forever.
Yeah, it's something no one can take away from you. You did that.
It's it's surreal.
So, just going on this train of all of your successes, what is one of your biggest successes or your proudest moments besides winning the award in your entrepreneurial journey so far?
Oof, that's awesome. Okay, that's a great question. One of my proudest moment beyond the award is our Beyond the Runway launch event, which happened last September, and hopefully we'll be doing that again this year. We represented 17 diverse bodies, including wheelchair users and folks with hidden disabilities like diabetes, arthritis. I myself also have some hidden disabilities. So it was very inclusive in a way that was intentional and it was real. So seeing all the folks walk with confidence, and it's not just like a runway where you are like a robot just walking the runway. They were having fun, they were dancing the whole time. They were finally represented and celebrated. So knowing that they felt seen, that was proud. That was my biggest moment, and I think it was, and that's a moment I think I knew it was way bigger than just clothing. It was about representation. So that's
Yeah,
my biggest success.
that's a great way to put it. How did this idea even come to you to do this runway, and how did you decide that it was the right time in your journey to do it?
So I've tried to get into a lot of spaces over the last year. We're almost 2 years in the business, so I've tried to be in some of the spaces that already say that they do inclusive fashion shows and stuff, but I was rejected way too many times. And I had a self reflection moment that I often have. I sat within myself and I thought, okay, Navi, why did you start the brand if you weren't gonna, if you were just gonna be rejected by people who doesn't really understand the whole identity of the brand or what you're trying to do, right? If we still have to, because I did try a lot. Basically, we can say beg for people to make me part of the things, but then I was like, okay, we're not doing that anymore. We're gonna start doing our own thing. Um, because the intention goes a long way. So that's when I decided, okay, I was going to do Beyond the Runway. But I did try to be in spaces before that. So I'm just really glad that I took a big leap of faith and I did it. And we got about 10 to 12 sponsors for a first time event. And hopefully it grows and grows and we can see more inclusive fashion shows. And it's another thing is that we all have different definitions of inclusive. Some folks might say inclusive of sizes and shapes, and some folks say inclusive of different fabrics and fibers, and some folks might say it's if it, inclusive is based on the different disabilities and folks you can include in the process. So it just means different too.
Yeah. Do you think you guys will do another one of these runways?
Yes, we will be doing that for
Yeah,
sure. Yes,
it will be happening. Okay,
yeah,
so
absolutely.
If you compare how you were at the start when you first joined Seed versus now, how has your approach in business changed and how has your confidence changed?
Confidence. We'll talk about that in a second. Before Seed, I think, if, like I mentioned, it was just an idea. I had a lot of passion, but I didn't know the path where I was going or how to do that. I didn't have all the answers. After Seed, I had direction where to go and the clear path. I understood what I needed to do, the positioning, the long term strategies, and also from shifted from operating emotionally to then intentionally. So that gave me a lot of clarity towards everything. So I think that's the biggest thing that changed after joining Seed.
Yeah. And tell us a bit about your confidence as well.
Confidence. I just, some days are really awesome, and I feel like my confidence gets better when I see people having fun as well. So like fashion shows and stuff, and then everybody else is feeling welcome and part of the team. Same with the wheelchair users as well, and I see their confidence through the roof, and that makes me feel more confident. Okay, that it's that I'm doing something right. Yeah, we're
Seeing the
not
impact.
perfect, but we're doing something right. So that
Yeah.
gives me a lot of confidence.
Yeah. Being able to see the impact that you're making and that you
Yeah,
intended to make actually coming to be has got to be an
exactly.
amazing feeling. Um, so you talked a bit about having hurdles, trying to join other fashion brands or like joining their runways. What are some other hurdles that you've experienced throughout this journey?
I was always a poet, so I used to write a lot of poetry since I was about 7 to 10 years old. I wasn't too big on social media. One unexpected hurdle was like learning how to tell your story. Coming from a different culture, we are often told to not share anything about yourself, and sometimes social media can take a lot of time. It's also being vulnerable. It comes with the scare, a big scare to be vulnerable, people knowing things about you, but also gives a chance for you to connect with people because they might be going through the same thing. I didn't know that I would ever be able to share my brother's struggle or his passing or how the grief changed my vision and made it into a purpose and a legacy. But the more I shared, the more I had courage to share the story, the more I connected with people. So that was really big. And I've always deeply cared deeply about the impact, but like transitioning into a clear messaging and explaining why this brand matters, it took a little bit of work and a little bit of learning curve. So that was a great moment for me and growth
You
too.
you talked about having connections with other people just now. Can you tell me about these connections and how they changed you and like how it affected your business in turn?
Yes, there are a lot of connections. So through
Go
Seed
ahead,
and
take your time.
and Halifax Business Community, whole chamber, um, I connected with a lot of mentors and a lot of women entrepreneurs who normalize struggle, and it makes me feel like I'm not the only one, and that changes everything too. Because when you feel like you're carrying the whole burden on yourself, it gets hard. But then you feel like, okay, I'm not the only one who doesn't know what to do next. You know people and you have your own groove. It gave me a lot of clarity, gave me a lot of confidence. I've always believed in collaboration over competition before, as well, and also being surrounded by people who truly live that value strengthened my approach. There are honestly too many names to mention, and that itself is a blessing because they're really strong women entrepreneurs that are beside you. There's Shannon, who also won Business of the Year award at from One Day Affair. There are my great friend, my best friend Priya, and Ashley from Remember When Care. There are so many names. Becky from Halifax Chamber of Commerce. She's always been amazing and great. Julia. So there are too many names to be mentioned, and community has been one of the greatest assets.
When you're looking to form these connections, or even if they just like coincidentally come to be, what are you looking for the most out of them in terms of your business? Would it be like confidence, clarity, opportunity, or is there another thing you
I
look for?
I think when you go into a networking session or anywhere there's an opportunity to connect with people, just connect on a human basis. It's not about like you wanting something from them or they wanting something from you. It's really about being vulnerable and sharing your success, failures, because everybody does have them, and just a very simple, genuinely caring and wanting to know them, how they're making the world a better place in their own ways. I think that's always been my approach, other than, oh, okay, let me go to this person who may have an opportunity for me, because then it becomes a little bit more heavy and less genuine. And that's just my thoughts. We all can have different thoughts, but that's just me. I really like to have genuine approach and get to know people and how they're making the world a better place.
Yeah, I agree. I find you get the most out of a connection when you're not going into it expecting anything.
Exactly. It's not a sales pitch. We just want to know them, and that goes more natural and a long way than any sales pitch or
Yeah.
elevator pitch.
Yeah. If you could go back in time and give yourself one piece of advice that you know now, what would that
Oh,
be? Whether this is back in time to when you first joined Seed, when you first had the idea, or even like when you first came to Canada, as you said, like 10 years ago, what would your advice be to yourself?
oh, that's a hard one. Um, I probably would say like stop waiting to feel ready, because a lot of time we wait for the perfect moment to do something. It doesn't always work that way. You sometimes do have to take a leap of faith. You also don't need a permission to take space. Start before you feel qualified. Charge what you're worth, know your worth, and I'm very big on that as well. And protect your energy. That's my advice to myself.
Make it a safe space. Um,
Yes.
as you're continuing to grow your business, what do you look for in the future? Like, what does long-term success look to you now? Look to you as you are now.
There are so many plans that I have for Celebrate Your Curves. There's a new project that we have introduced and starting to talk about and getting into more funding spaces for that as well. And it's called Reshape. Reshape is basically knowing and acknowledging that fashion industry is the biggest waste. Uh, Sorry, one second.
Take your
So
time.
we know that fashion industry makes the biggest textile waste. So for us to do in this project, which is Project Reshape, to divert that textile waste from landing in landfill. So diverting that, whether we do through upcycling and making new clothing within, or we go through a recycling process. So we're working with Divert Nova Scotia with that, and we're looking for a few more partnerships on that. But we have a big job for the planet coming soon, and I've been very honest about it. It's not a one person job. We all have to contribute to
Yeah.
it, and that's one of the big project that I have for long term. Sustainable fashion brand like with national recognition is also one to be, to not just about recognition but also about the impact. And Reshape operating as a funded circular economy initiative, hiring and mentoring Black and brown women or BIPOC folks who faces barriers to employment, to then hired within Reshape to start making those products and learn the sewing and stuff. So you yourself mentioned that that's also something you love doing. Financial stability always on the top list as well, because when you are going in a business with a lot of impact for the scalability rather than the numbers, it's hard, but I think it will come. So that's all my long term goals look like. There are so
I wish
many.
like every clothing brand had like a sustainability initiative like you. I'm I'm so anti fast fashion.
Yeah.
I think that's a great mindset.
So it's
You
awesome.
mentioned earlier about having your aunties back in India sew your clothing. How did that idea come to you? Was that something you'd always planned to do when you first had the idea, or did it just coincidentally be like the perfect opportunity to, like as you
I've,
said, send it back home as well?
I've always seen them with a lot of talent, not a lot of access to opportunities. So that did stay with me for a while. In 2024, January, I went back home after a little bit of a hard time, and the corporate ladder failed. Um, so it was a moment of reflection and to take some time. Went home, met with my aunties, talked about the idea. What do you think? And they all were very talented. They were doing the small gigs here and there for the clothing, and that's basically the culture is that we do, we wear a lot. So in India, we get a piece of fabric that we want, we choose it, and then we do the design have in mind, and we get it sold. So that's how the process is, rather than opting for ready-made right away. So that's always been the culture, and I wanted to do something with that here, so that they also have access to opportunities, and I can be the middleman, middle woman, in a way, having access to Canada and having access to this culture. So connecting Western with Indian, I guess. Yeah.
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 Well, that's a great, honestly, that was a great idea. I didn't know that that was how it worked with your company, but that gives a lot more
Yeah.
insight. So I'm at the end of my questions right now. That went by so quickly, but if there's any answers that you want to like re-share, like if there's an answer that you're like, oh, I could answer that better now, and you want to re-go over it, you're welcome to. Or if there's any topics that you want to bring up or mention, whether it's about like your plans for the future even more, or an event that's coming up that you guys are hosting, whatever you want.
Um, Thank you so much. We're going to
Yeah.
be doing a lot more fashion shows as well. We're going to do a PEI fashion weekend. So we are going there as well, May 1st and 2nd. And that's very exciting. We're also going to be doing Beyond the Runway 2.0, which is going to be hopefully September. And we're going to start sending the sponsorship packages to different sponsors and stuff very soon. So that's another chance. I might be sharing this a little bit early. So um, tomorrow is International Women's Day, and tomorrow I'm going to an award ceremony, Atlantic Business Magazine, and I will be named one of the top 25 powerful women,
Oh
which
my
is very,
gosh.
yes,
Wait, you're on
very
a
exciting.
roll.
I just, yeah, I guess.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I think it's a little, I don't know, it's not really too early to share, but a little bit because they tell you that.
Don't
But yeah,
worry. I think that our interview will come out after this is announced,
that's
so
what I
don't worry.
thought too. Yeah, that's what I thought. So yeah, yeah.
Within these new runways and beyond the runway 2.0, are there any new concepts that you're introducing?
Yes. So we're introducing our more dresses as well for all different sizes as well. And then suits as we always do because the brand was built on custom suits and as well because I love suits and I love dressing. I've always loved Indian fabrics and stuff, but they've been always hard, and the Indian clothing, the way it's made, haven't been a lot comfortable. And especially when we are here in Canada, I love the kind of clothing that you can wear in in and out, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of that is coming, and then we're also bringing our, it's a new product kind of. We have introduced it before, which was adaptive clothing set, which is a shirt and pants, which has accessibility features with velcros, magnet closures, and stuff like that for accessibility. But we're changing it a little bit into the fabric, a different fabric. We're going with the bamboo fabric now. We're gonna have a bamboo fabric made adaptive lounge set, which is going to be soft on skin, wearable for longer periods of time, and washable. So it won't go anywhere if you wash it like 20 times. So it's Like it's a little bit different than the formal clothing, because when it comes to the suits and stuff, you always opt for dry cleaning and stuff like that. But there's within the bamboo fabric, it's going to be breathable, it's going to be soft on skin, and it's eco-friendly. So we're leaning into that way a little bit more, and be introducing more eco-friendly fibers like hemp, linen, cotton, recycled cotton as well. And as we tap more into reshape as well, we'll be working on those eco-friendly and recycled fabrics as well. So that's a big change that's coming, but it was a long due. Again, we're still very not a lot of time in business. We still been under 2 years, but there's still a lot of work to do.
Yes, there always is. It never ends.
Yeah.
But those are some very exciting new additions. I am definitely going to be keeping my eye out for those runways. I
Thank
love
you.
looking through the pictures on your website.
Thank you so
So
much.
that brings us to the end of our interview. Thank you so much, Navdeep, for joining me today.
No
I think I learned a lot,
problem.
to be honest.
Thank you so much for making the space. Thank you so much for having me. And this opportunity means a lot. And thanks for always supporting. The support from Seed always
Of
been great.
course.